Well, everybody. This is Land Will. I am the old biologist. I wanted to throw one together, make it kind of short maybe. It's getting to be that time of year where we're compiling and analyzing our deer data from the previous season. And take all your body weights, your buck antler dimensions, your jaws, lactation data, dump it in a spreadsheet or a database, crank you out a bunch of numbers. And obviously, the first key component there is if you don't have jawbones to assign age, and at least the same person for most years aging the jaws with a reasonable degree of competence. If you don't have that, you're pushing rope. You don't have anything. It's basically worthless data, a bunch of gee whiz stuff. So, what do you try to take away from all that? You got a bunch of body weights and percentages of does in the three major age classes, which are 1 year olds, 2 year olds, 3+. You got bucks broken down with main beam length, inside spread, number of points, all of that, basal circumference, weight, broken down by age class. What do you do with all of it? So, where I like to start, like I've said in the previous video, is I like to look at my 1 year old does, because most people aren't shooting many 1 year old bucks. There's a few around, but usually they're the poor performers. You're culling spikes out of the yearling age class, which is another discussion for another time. So I like to break down my body weights and look at body weights for 1 year old does. Some cases, very healthy herds, you'll have some 1 year old doe lactation. That's useful. You look at the percentage of 1 year olds in your total harvest. What's that look like? Is it 20%, 15%, 30%? What is it? Also, remember that you need a decent sample size. So if you got 5 to 10 1 year old does in your harvest, you got enough to get a reasonable average. The next thing I look at, obviously, are the other two age classes, the 2s and 3s. The 2s are useful from a lactation rate standard. Also, comparing the body weights to last year, years before, is useful to tell you kind of where you're going. But the yearling doe body weights that's vital. You need to keep a good eye on what your 1 year old doe body weights are doing from year to year. They're trending up, trending down. You need to keep an eye on that. Moving on to the 3 year olds. 3 year old body weights, basically, they're the mature does, older does. They are what they are. You're not going to have a management impact on those does to amount to much. But the most important component, number one, is your lactation data. Second most important piece of data is what percentage of the harvest is made up of 3 year old and older does. Is it 50%? Is it 60%? Is it 30%? So we always found that if your percentage of 3 year old and older does in the harvest is around 40%. You're taking enough. Ideally, you would want 33 1/3 in the 1-year-old age class, 33 1/3 in the 2-year-old age class, and 33 1/3 in the 3-year-old plus age class. But what we saw over time is body weight showed improvement, and lactation showed an improvement, and habitat showed an improvement. If you could drive that percentage of 3-year-old and older does to 40% or less. So that's something to look for, think about, ruminate on. From the buck data, obviously, you're going to assign them each age class. Buck body weights are a moot point for the most of the deer season, because your body weight data and your thriftiness data comes from the does, because they participate in the rut for 36, 48 hours tops. A buck participates in it in weeks. So a buck that shot early is going to weigh about 20% more than a buck that shot late. So that same buck's weight is going to vary so much through the season that you don't need to really hang your hat on it. You can't judge the success of your program or what you're doing based on buck body weights. But what is handy dandy and important to tell you if you're getting close to your goal or not, it's to see what the antler dimensions are doing year to year, primarily for 3 and 4 year olds, but even 2s and 1s if you have some of the data, if they're not targeted as management deer. You want to compare main beam length, inside spread to a degree, basal circumference. You could throw in a number of points, but main beam length would be my big ticket item. But you would want to look at that main beam and inside spread data trending from year to year, going up, going down. What's it doing? What's going on? Comparing 4-year-olds to 4-year-olds plus, and 3-year-olds to 3-year-olds, and so on and so forth. Because I've seen a lot of really good deer that were 3, and I've seen some really poor deer that were 3. But with that data, and if you're comparing apples to apples through the age classes, you can tell which direction you're going and make good, solid, educated decisions. Your lactation data on your does, I'm going to backtrack to that. For the most part, most properties with good habitat should be around 65 to 70% lactation. When you start shooting them, start doing habitat work, start freeing up resources, that lactation rate's going to increase. I've seen that countless times. Folks start shooting enough deer, they start having more babies. So you take that 70% lactation, that 65% lactation, and all of a sudden it turns into 85. And that means you have to shoot more going forward. So with that, keep up with that lactation rate. And one last thing about lactation is I always want my lactation rates. I like to evaluate it from 2-year-old plus, not 3 plus. 2-year-olds are going to successfully have fawns. 1-year-olds can be left out. They're not reliable. But 2 plus lactation, take those and lump them together and see what percentage lactated versus what didn't. Tell you a lot about where you are, where you need to go. The educational videos that I do don't seem to get as many hits as the controversial videos, but I would rather do the educational videos. But I'm going to keep doing a few for the time being. Appreciate all of y'all. And hope to catch y'all down the road. Have a good one.